This is Don Mazzella. The guest today is Mark Kravitz. He's got a very good company that we want to know more about. But first, we welcome Mark and ask him to tell us a little bit about himself first, then his company, and finally a website.
Okay. Well, Don, thank you so much for having me. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to be on your wonderful show. Tell you a little bit about myself and what I do. I'm a principal managing partner of Align Wealth. Among things, what we do is we help business owners get ready for an exit. And once they exit, we help them with the management of their assets. But it's a whole sequence that we help them with. In addition, my partner does a great job with not-for-profit organizations. So that's in a nutshell. We do a lot of other things besides that.
Wait a second. That's not you. What is there about you? Tell us a little
Okay.
bit about you.
Okay, so let me tell you a little bit of story about myself and why I chose to be concentrating on helping business owners. I think that would help your listening audience understand where my heart is and where I come from. So my dad, I guess similar to a lot of people in the United States, my dad came from another country. And my dad came to this country as a teenager, and I don't want to say penniless, but not a lot of jingling in his pocket. Let me just put it that way. Uh, he he worked pretty hard. He worked his way up, and he eventually owned his own firm, very, very small firm in Manhattan. He was in the button business. It was called a jobber, and did pretty well. Came from nothing, and built this company with his partner Sam. Now, unfortunately, the textile industry, the whole industry that he was in, fell off the table, like a lot of industries that happen. And this industry in particular went to China. Unfortunately for my dad, there was no exit planner. There was no person like myself that I am. I'm a certified exit planning advisor. I'm a CEPA. I got that certification at Exit Planning Institute. There was no person like myself that could have sat with my dad and say, hey, listen, industry is turning, things are changing. You might want to monetize your business. He never monetized his business. Instead, his business went out of business. And it was very, very difficult for the Kravitz household, very difficult for my father, who's a very proud man, again, came from another country and built a company and then watched it fall apart in front of his eyes. And so it was kind of after that I made a decision that I really wanted to help and work with entrepreneurial people, business owners, to make sure that they didn't have the same outcome as what happened with my dad. So that's kind of the generation of where I'm coming from there. As far as myself, my background, as I mentioned before, I'm a CEPA, I'm a certified exit planning advisor. I got that at the Chicago Booth School of Business through Exit Planning Institute. I'm also a certified financial planner, and I'm also a CEPA certified, a CIMA certified investment management analyst. I got that at Wharton School of Business. That gives me the ability to be able to do the analytical work to analyze people's portfolios and help put them in the right position so that if they do decide to exit the business and they do it and they get money, we'll know how to allocate that. And also, one of the things that business owners worry about, at least what I found, is that when they do exit their business, they're about where their income's going to come from. They knew when they were running their business where their income was coming from, their business. But once they sell their business, they're like, oh my God, where's my income going to come from? So we have methodologies, we have models that we put in place so that we can help replace that income. So I know I answered some of your questions.
No,
Did I?
you're doing a great job. And your website?
Website. Okay, so our website is alignwealth.com. So it's ALINE, like align, ALINE wealth.com.
Okay, so we'll get back to it. Well, I have a lot of questions, Mark, but
Sure.
I'm going to start. I'm a business person. I come to you and say, look, I'm looking down the road 5 years. But let's use 5 years as an example. My
Okay.
son and daughter don't want any part of the business. What do I do to set up my business? A, to be sold, and B, to protect myself and my descendants.
Great,
What is,
great, great question. And quite frankly, Don, I'm the perfect person to come to because I've helped over 100 business owners, individuals, families, couples get ready for and go into their next phase of their business. So I like to be the first person when a business owner is getting ready for an exit. So the first thing, everybody has a push and pull. Everybody has a reason why they're making that transition into the next phase of their life. Are they being pushed into it? Is the industry changing? Is something happening in their life? Is there a health issue? Is there a divorce? Is there a disagreement at work? Is there something going on there that's pushing them, or is there a pull? Are they being pulled into something? Maybe they want to start something new. So we try to understand what their push and pull is. And in addition, we also want to understand, and not everybody can articulate it, but we want to understand their why. Why are they looking to do that? So I can tell you what my why is. Why am I so passionate about helping business owners? It's because of what I saw with my dad. And so that had pushed me into want to help business owners because I don't want to see them have the same outcome as my dad. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to have a conversation, and I'm going to get into it. I'm going to learn, and I'm going to dig deep, and I'm going to ask a lot of questions. I'm going to try to find out what's the push pull and what is their why. So that's number one.
well,
Okay, go ahead.
no, keep going. You're on the roll.
Okay, all right. So at Exit Planning Institute, we were taught and we think about is there's three legs of the stool. If a business owner can get the three legs of the stool correct, they're going to have a very successful future. And those three legs of the stool is one, maximize the value of your business. So that's number one. Understand your business, understand what direction that's going into, what the net worth is. Do you have predictability of earnings? Do you have systems in place? Do you have management in place? What's the risk? What's the viability? I mean, there's a whole bunch of things that you need to do from a business standpoint. So first leg of the stool is understand your business. That's number one. Number two, are you ready personally and financially? That's where my expertise is. I'm a certified financial planner. What we will do is we will create financial plans for that business owner to see and make sure that they have enough money to live comfortably for the rest of their lives. I have expertise, and our firm has expertise, particularly in that area. On the first part, I am a SEPA. I understand that. We choose to utilize some other people to help in that first part. The third part, and probably the biggest reason why people, I'll call, fail at the next phase of their life, is ensuring that they have a plan for the third act of their life or the next act or what they're going to do next. A lot of people, a lot of business owners have this thought, oh, you know what? I'm ready. I'm just, I'm going to sell this business. I'm going to get X amount of money and everything's going to be fine. What they don't recognize, What they don't realize is they've been working in that job in a lot of cases, especially if it's their first time, they've been doing it forever. They've been doing it for 20, 15, 20, 30 plus years. And they've gone to work, they've done the same thing every single day, all the time, over and over and over and over again. And then all of a sudden, they sell. Maybe they get their number. Everybody has their number. You need to know their number. We can talk about that. But they sell, they get their number. Now, what do? They never thought about, what are they going to do? I like to say, what are you going to do when you grow up? What are you going to do? So you got to look at that next act. So if you can get those three legs of the stool correct, I think that you're going to be very, very successful as a business owner.
Well, we're talking with Mark Kravitz. Well, but Mark, you bring up three very disparate areas, and oftentimes most people can't focus on two, let alone three. How do you help them do that?
Well, the clarity, the first clarity is at the very beginning. So you want to do this in stages. So first, you want to understand what's the push pull, what's the why are they looking to. I had someone that came to me a few years ago, and he said, I'm ready. I'm 62 years old. I'm ready. My body's just not the way it used to be. And we had this conversation. As I'm talking to him and going into his business and deeper, he loves his business. He loves his business. He didn't have anything that he wanted to do afterwards. And as we were talking, I just said, you're really not ready. You're really not ready to. Oh, what do you mean? I'm ready. My body's just not ready. I said, maybe your body's not ready, but your mind is it's not there. And so we had a deep conversation. He recognized it, and he has continued to work in that business and grown that business. And we've recently had a conversation, and he's much more ready to go through the process to sell. So first thing is you want to make sure that you're ready mentally. If you are ready, then the next phase and the next step is to make sure that you're going to have enough money to live comfortably. So you would need to do and get an idea of what the valuation of your business is. In my history of talking to business owners, no disrespect to business owners, but they always feel that their business is worth so much more than what it might be worth. And in their minds, it might be. But we have to be very realistic in terms of what someone would pay for that business. So what we'll do is one of a few things. They can get a professional to go and do a business valuation, which I would encourage. And we have many people that we can recommend to them to get a business valuation done if they've never done a business valuation. Or we at Align Wealth, we have a program that you can get a back of the envelope number for that business valuation. It's something, Don, I'll offer out to your listeners. And this is not for everybody, but for the right business, we would do that business valuation for them on a complimentary basis. Now, this valuation is not something that you're going to look to sell based on, but it gives you an idea of what the value is. And then as a certified financial planner, what we'll do is we'll create a financial plan looking at, okay, how much money do you want to live on? You want to live on X. What are all the things that you want to do at, let's just call it retirement? I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. We line item all those things. We inventory all the assets. We make assumptions on the value of the business. So if you can get X amount for that business based on our valuation, or if you can grow the business a little bit more in a few years, you can get a higher EBITDA or higher valuation. This is what life looks like. If it's something that's palatable for them, then we'll look to go to the next phase on how to look to sell the business.
Well, let me just ask a question.
Sure.
I've dealt in mergers and acquisition at a much bigger level, and it's usually six times profits or twice the sales. Is that still roughly in place, or
It depends upon it really depends upon the industry. I mean, there's all different industries. Each industry has their own EBITDA. Depends upon how large the company is, or small the company is. I mean, there's all kinds of other variables that can go into that. Could be a hot industry, could be higher multiples. Sometimes you can look at publicly traded companies and look at the multiples there, and then take a discount from that multiple, because it's not, unless you're going public, then you can look, really look at those multiples. So really, it's industry dependent, depending upon the business.
well, well, let me ask the other question, which to me is the human part of it. But oftentimes, there's an older husband and wife own a business. They've
Mhm,
raised three kids, and maybe one of them will think about going into the business, and the other two don't.
mhm.
Wh- What do you do in a situation like that?
Well, so let's take that scenario, depending upon the value of that business. For the two kids that don't go into the business, you might want to do some equalization utilizing insurance, some kind of life insurance to equalize things. That's one technique that you can use to, especially if the matriarch and the patriarch, most of their assets are in that business. Because chances are, if that all the assets are in that business, it's now going to go to the one child that is now running that business. But it's not fair to the other two kids, right? So you can look at some equalization with some life insurance. So that's one methodology. But that's a difficult conversation, and those conversations have to be had around. I've been part of that, in the middle of those conversations with families. I remember I was with the one family. I think it was five kids. One of the kids wasn't there, but and the patriarch of the family. Now, the patriarch of the family was running the company, but he was kind of stepping down. The president of the company was the eldest son. The second eldest was the daughter. Both of them were very capable of running things, very smart people. We were in a meeting, and the son had made a very smart comment about something. And the father just started yelling, like it was so uncomfortable. It was just yelling and screaming, and you just saw the oldest son just kind of sink into his shell. And I tried to encourage more conversation, but that was it. That the president of the company was very capable guy of running the company. He just sunk into the shell, and there was no there was really nothing that you can do. I try to encourage it. I mean, the patriarchal family was looking, he threw daggers in my at me. Eventually, what happened was the patriarch of the family did pass away. Um, they did things that I didn't think was the correct thing to do. They split the company up equally, even though there was kids that were not in the business. They got an equal share. That became very difficult, because the president and the daughter, those two were running things. I had, we brought up in the conversation that maybe upon his passing, that they should get a larger percentage of, and they had all equal pay. It didn't make sense. It really didn't make sense. So we tried to help working that out.
Well, let me ask you this question. You go from re- getting a salary and getting profit to you have assets, and you decide you want to buy a boat, a $300,000 boat, and you go there, and the the company that wants to give you sell you the boat says I can't do it because you don't have a regular income. How do you get around that?
So are you talking about the patriarch that sells the company that has assets, but because that patriarch is not bringing in assets
Right.
or not getting a salary, can't borrow money to get a
Yes.
boat?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I mean, one of the ways around that is you can utilize hopefully that patriarch of the family. So in our case, I'll use it because that's happened, and it was more of buying a an apartment. They utilized their assets that they had with Align Wealth to borrow the money to be able to buy a boat or buy real estate with that. So you can utilize your assets to the value of your assets to borrow that money. And
So
in a lot of cases, you can even borrow it at a better rate.
for instance, to buy an apartment, it's difficult in nowadays. They no longer lend on assets; they lend on income. And if you don't have income, they say you can't get a mortgage. But you're saying borrow the money against your assets.
Right. And if you don't have enough assets to borrow the money, then you shouldn't be buying the apartment and you shouldn't be buying a $300,000 boat. Simple as
I
that.
right,
Right.
but
Doesn't take
it's
heavy math on that one.
I've taken you away. Now you're going to do the third part, which is, are you ready? And how do you help them uh, plan their
That is
retirement?
that's the most difficult part. There's a reason why people fail in retirement. Price Waterhouse did a study, and 3 out of 4 people that sell a business were profoundly disappointed. You know, when asked about selling their business, a lot of that was because they weren't prepared, not financially, but they weren't prepared mentally. So what I try to encourage people, and that's why I like being the first person, and that's why we talk about what's your why, what's a push pull, what's the reasons that you're doing this, trying to get into their heads. I tell a lot of the business owners is, get away from your business. Just get away. I don't, it's summertime and go on a park bench, go somewhere where you don't never really go. Go in nature, go somewhere where go somewhere where you're not going to be bothered. Go to Starbucks. I don't know. I don't care where you go. Just go somewhere where you don't normally go. Sit there and start thinking about what you're going to do on a daily basis. What are you going to do every day? I used to teach a class called Financial Strategies for Successful Retirement. It was a continuing education class, and we used to have a homework assignment. And that homework assignment was I give a piece of paper out, and it said 7 to 8, 8 to 9, 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, and so on, all throughout the day. And the homework assignment was that the person had to fill out what they would do at retirement. What are they going to do every single day? What's it all filled out? Now, funny thing was, there was one day where someone had handed it in, and the husband was looking at me angry that, why'd you make me do this? He was so angry, and the wife was like, she was so happy. And the reason the husband was angry and the wife was so happy was because the wife filled it out for the husband. So
Sounds about right.
once again, what I would encourage the patriarch or the matriarch of the family or whoever's running the business is go to a place by themselves, think about what they want to do when they're, in the next phase of their life.
We're talking with Mark Kravitz. Mark, your website again for our audience?
Website is alignwealth.com, ALINE wealth, WEALTH.com.
Well, Mark, let me ask you a question. What do you do when someone comes to you? I just sold my business. Here's my money. What do I do?
Okay. Um, well, I would sit down with them and we would do a financial plan for them. And in that financial plan, we would take a look again, line item, all the things that they want to do with their life, all the money that they want to spend. We want to make sure that they have enough money to live comfortably. We want to make sure that their spending is in the proper place. Because if they sell their business and they're spending too much, we want to make sure that they're going to be in line and spend the right amount of money. So we're going to take a look at the spending. We're also going to take a look at what their risk tolerance is. We want to understand, really truly understand what their tolerance for risk is. Because when they're working, they might have a certain risk tolerance that if, for example, the stock market like last year went down almost 40%, all right, I'm working, I don't care, I'm making money, I'm not ready to retire, it's okay, markets go down, markets go up, it's all right. But all of a sudden, they're not working anymore. How are they going to react if something like that happens again? The worst case scenario is that they freak out, they react emotionally and do the wrong thing at the wrong time. So we're going to try to understand really what their tolerance for risk is so that when we put together a portfolio for them, we're going to really truly understand them, their family dynamics, what their needs are, what their goals are, so that we can create the income that they need. Now, if it's, on the other hand, if it's a person of excessive high net worth, there are other plannings that we need to look at and talk about. And I can talk about that if you'd like as well.
Well, unfortunately, we're getting close to the end. So, Mark, your website again, and what would you like to leave our audience with today?
Okay. Website is alignwealth.com, ALINE wealth.com. What I'd like to leave the audience is as follows. If you're looking at selling your business or getting out of your business or moving to the next phase of your life, feel free to contact me through alignwealth.com. Let's have a conversation. Conversation is free. If you want to get a business valuation done, also we'll take a look at that as well. It might be complimentary as well for you, and love to help you. What I don't want you to do is I don't want you to have the same results as what happened with my dad, where you had liquidation. Let me help. We can help you. That's how I'd like to leave it.
You also said earlier that you have a broadcast, a podcast of your own. Do you want to give it a plug?
Sure. Podcast is called Find Your Exit. You can get it at iTunes. You can get it wherever you get podcasts. It's called Find Your Exit. I interview people in the industry that help people get ready for an exit. And I also, more importantly, interview business owners that have gone through an exit and their trials and tribulations of what they've done to get a positive outcome.
Okay. With that note, Mark Kravitz, we say thank you very much for being with us. It's really been a great, it's been illuminating for me. Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you, Don. It's been absolutely an honor. Thank you so much for having me.